Today, we're talking about the Supreme Court agreeing to hear TikTok's appeal, a looming government shutdown, why the stock market had its worst day in months on Wednesday, and other top news for Friday, December 20th. Stay informed while remaining focused on Christ with the pour-over today. Here's the quote of the day. The celebration of Advent is possible only to those who are troubled in soul, who know themselves to be poor and imperfect, and who look forward to something greater to come. Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Let's get started with some espresso shots. The Supreme Court is on the clock to uphold or reject Uncle Sam's looming TikTok ban. The High Court agreed to hear expedited arguments starting on January 10, where TikTok will argue that the law banning the app violates the First Amendment. Congress passed the ban earlier this year, citing national security concerns over such a popular app. It's used by 170 million Americans, having ties to a foreign adversary, China. If the Supremes side with TikTok, it'll mean scrolling as usual. If the ban is upheld, TikTok will be removed from app stores, so no new users, and it will lose the ability to make updates on January 19th, leading to a growing swarm of software bugs. President-elect Trump is another variable. He's recently expressed sympathy for the talk, and it'll be his DOJ responsible for enforcing the ban if it's upheld. Our ultimate purpose is to glorify God, the creator of the universe, great innovator, and inventor of everything. However you engage with social media, remember to use technology to point others to eternal hope in Him. Colossians 1, verses 15 and 16 says, "He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For everything was created by Him, in heaven and on earth, the visible and the invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things have been created through Him and for Him." It's been chaotic on Capitol Hill. On Wednesday, congressional leaders were poised to pass a bipartisan deal to fund the government through March, until Doge's Elon Musk and President-elect Trump rallied their online troops to oppose the bill filled with waste and corruption. Republican support for the bill crumbled. Speaker Johnson must pick up the pieces by tonight to avoid a government shutdown. Meanwhile, Congress overwhelmingly passed an $895 billion defense spending bill. It improves military pay and benefits and boosts funding for competition with China and Russia. Controversially, the bill also bans funding for medical interventions that could sterilize service members' children diagnosed with gender dysphoria. The bill now heads to the Oval Office for the expected John Hancock. Here's the verse to consider whether you get a lump of coal, a Barbie dream house, or a government shutdown for Christmas. "For a child will be born for us. A son will be given to us, and the government will be on his shoulders. He will be named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. The dominion will be vast, and its prosperity will never end. He will reign on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish and sustain it with justice and righteousness from now on and forever." Isaiah 9, verses 6 and 7. Interest rates got their expected trim on Wednesday. Wrapping up its final 2024 meeting, the Fed announced a quarter-point key interest rate cut, the third consecutive cut this year, returning rates to December 2022 levels. The central bank also signaled a cautious outlook for 2025. Expect only 2 rate reductions. They're cutting the expected cuts, 4 were originally anticipated, because they're now predicting inflation of 2.5%, up from a more optimistic 2.1%. The news of only 2 rate cuts plunged Wall Street to one of its worst days of the year. Higher borrowing costs mean less cash burning holes in investors' pockets. The Dow dropped 1,100 points, 2.5%, marking its first 10-day losing streak since '74. The S&P 500 fell nearly 3%. NASDAQ dropped 3.5%. often, we let eternally insignificant things like the ups and downs of interest rates and the market control us. As you seek to steward your money well, keep your focus on the giver rather than the gifts, and don't neglect generosity. 2 Corinthians 8, verses 9 and 14 says, "For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Though he was rich, for your sake he became poor, so that by his poverty you might become rich. At the present time, your surplus is available for believers' need, so that their abundance may in turn meet your need, in order that there may be equality."
Hey, it's Emily from The Pour Over. The holidays are upon us, and that means extra expenses are piling up all the time. Secret Santas, kids' class parties, end-of-year donations, then buying myself a coffee to get through all the gift wrapping and magic making. Thankfully, I can put a little jingle back in my wallet by getting cash back with Upside. Since I'm already filling up my tank and grabbing a bite to eat here and there, why not earn cash back while I do it? I even get cash back on our regular Friday pizza nights. Then I can quickly cash out and treat myself to a gift card for a post-school drop-off latte. It's super easy to use. Just download the app, check out the map to find gas or food offers nearby, claim one, and pay as usual. The cashback lands in your Upside profile, and you can cash out in seconds. Download the free Upside app and use promo code TPO to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code TPO.
In other brews, here's the rapid round of updates. The first severe case of bird flu, H5N1, in human has been reported in Louisiana. The CDC confirms the patient is in critical condition with severe respiratory symptoms. Over 60 mild human cases of bird flu, mostly among farm workers, have been reported this year. California declared a state of emergency to combat the H5N1 flying through the state's dairy cattle. Israel struck Houthi ports and energy infrastructure near Yemen's capital Thursday, killing 9. The strike was just hours after the Iran-backed group launched missiles at Israel, which caused no injuries but damaged a school in Tel Aviv. Israel says it's fighting for the entire international community to protect Red Sea trade routes and toppled the Iranian proxy group. California has the green light to ban gas car sales by 2035. The EPA approved California's stricter than federal emissions regulations Wednesday and signed a waiver to allow the state to gradually limit the percentage of gas cars sold over the next decade. TBD if the Trump administration, which has already disavowed similar green initiatives, will try to slam the brakes. Merry Christmas to everyone except murder hornets. The invasive Asian giant hornet, which caused social media buzz in 2020, has been eradicated from the U.S., per a joint statement from Washington State and U.S. Agriculture Departments on Wednesday. The hornets appeared in 2019, posing potential threats to native pollinators, but haven't been detected in 3 years. Please note that the following story discusses abuse and may not be suitable for everyone. The mass drugging and rape trial that stunned France is over. All 51 men were convicted and sentenced to 3 to 20 years in prison. Giselle Pellicot, 72, is being celebrated around the world for choosing a public trial against her ex-husband and the 50 men he recruited to abuse her over 10 years, saying she was determined to make shame swap sides. And that's all we have for today. Thanks so much for listening. If you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, give us a 5-star rating and drop a review. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow and hit the notification bell to never miss a new episode. We appreciate your support and hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.